Well, hello, everyone. In the midst of such uncertainty and ambiguity for us right now, I wanted to share a brief reminder of what happens in the human brain when we are faced with this type of uncertainty and ambiguity. Our brains do not like it. The human brain is wired for survival, and part of that is being able to collect data and information and use patterns and memories to be able to predict what happens in the future. And so our brains love the beginning, the middle, and the end of a story. And when we don't receive the ending, when we only receive the beginning and the middle of a story, our brains often actually close that story loop for us automatically and reward us with some dopamine as well. So it feels good when we close that story loop, even if it's with misinformation. And so right now, while we are under stress and there is a lack of information on what the future will hold, we need to recognize that our brains are trying to close that story loop, and that can be an unhelpful process. And so what I want us to do is to just be aware of that, to be aware that our brains are wired to close the story loop, because awareness of that can help us pause in the middle of it happening and to recognize that it's happening and recognize that we may be making assumptions that are not validated. And so 2 things that I want you to focus on today, 2 tools you can take from this. One, the first is to recognize that happens and to sort the information that we have. So what objective information do I have about this versus what assumptions am I making? It can be just a simple T-chart where when we are feeling the stress and anxiety about this uncertainty, we really separate that information, what's known versus what assumptions am I making, and acknowledging that and potentially releasing and letting go some of those assumptions. And then the second technique that I want you to employ is practicing gratitude. And gratitude actually practicing gratitude scientifically shows that we are able to embrace a more optimistic mindset, and we are able to reduce the stress response, to physiologically reduce the amount of cortisol that goes into our system, which is a stress hormone. And the stress hormone response actually weakens our immune system. So right now it is a very important time to keep that immune system strong, and taking practical approaches to minimize the stress can be really helpful, right? So sorting what I objectively know versus the assumptions I'm making or the stories that I'm telling myself. And then 2, practicing gratitude. That could look like around the dinner table at night, reflecting on 3 things from the day that we're grateful for, or 3 positive things from the day. Those 2 simple acts alone can really help carry us through this time to focus on the day by day and to be able to walk through it with less stress and more optimism.